Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen, welcome back to Sunday morning in the Old Cookbook Show. Today we're going to do another recipe out of Prince Edward Island Home Recipes for Home and Country, compiled by the Prince Edward Island Women's Institute members, published in 1943, Wartime Cookbook, filled with, bits and pieces about the war effort, how Canada is going to, get out there and do your bit for the war effort, for Canada, for our sovereignty. It's also interesting because as much as there's that war effort aspect to it, it still acknowledges that life needs to go on. There's advertising in here for furniture and clothing and all of the sorts of things that you need on a day-to-day basis because life does go on. And a lot of the recipes sort of acknowledge wartime, not really rationing, but, cutting back a little bit. And some of them are full tilt. Let's cook. And so today we're going to make carrot honey cookies, and I'm going to make these because it makes a couple of interesting substitutions. One is the honey. Honey and maple syrup or maple sugar are seen in a lot of Canadian wartime cookbooks as a substitute for granulated imported cane sugar. So the first thing we're going to do is soften up the butter. I've cut the recipe in half, so there's not much butter in there. Next, we're going to add in the grated carrot. I probably should have done this with the hand mixer. I did cut the recipe in half. I don't need, it says 5 or 6 dozen cookies. I don't need 5 or 6 dozen cookies. I'm cooking a whole bunch of stuff ahead of time for the summer. I've got a raisin loaf on the back here. I've got a bean recipe going on. There's a pie cooling over there. I've got a busy summer. I've got a busy spring and summer. And so I'm doing a lot of stuff ahead of time just to kind of ease my mind so that I can concentrate on doing some other things through, March, April, May, June, and into July. I am flying again with Hope Air, and if you're interested in finding out what Hope Air is all about, I will put something at the end of the video. So here we go with the honey. Put that in. Honey is one of those substitutes, almost any recipe you can substitute honey in. And you can change the flavor. I was thinking about buckwheat honey because I love buckwheat honey, but I thought the flavor might be too strong and would overpower the carrot. But I don't know what the carrot's bringing to the party. Okay, so we'll go in with the egg now. And we'll just let that mix up. So I've got flour here, and to that I'm adding cinnamon, salt, baking soda, baking powder, and we need a little bit of nutmeg. So cinnamon and nutmeg are things that, are not from Canada, as with the raisins, although some raisins, maybe some raisins from Canada, but not too many. And they're used relatively sparingly in this recipe and in this recipe book. There's a couple of recipes in here that call for raisins, and the language is kind of like, if you've got them, use as many as you can spare, that sort of thing. So it's given that some of these spices and things were more difficult to get your hands on. So just give that a stir, and now we start mixing the dry into the wet. So a couple spoons of flour, and then some of the rolled oats. And then back to the flour until it's all gone. And the last ingredient, raisins. There we go. Okay, baking tray, parchment paper, scoop, you know the drill. We're going to scoop these out. I have no idea how much these are going to spread, so I'm going to leave lots of space. I'm a little worried about the cooking time. The recipe says 350 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes, which is an awfully long time for a cookie. Most cookies are 10 to 12 minutes. Some might stretch out to 15 in a pinch, but 25 to 30 seems like a long time. I'm going to keep my eye on them. And into the oven.
Hey, Glen.
Hey, Jules.
Hey, friends. It's been a busy day here today.
It has been. So I give you
It's orange.
carrot honey cookies.
That would explain the orange.
Yeah.
I like the idea of honey in it, though.
So I didn't go the full 30 minutes, but I did almost make it to 25 minutes before I pulled them out, thinking that they were done. They didn't spread. I don't know. No sweetness at all.
And yet they have a honey flavor to them. Mm-hmm. There's a hint of honey. They're very cake-like. Mm-hmm. Like they needed just a little bit more liquid if you wanted them to be flat.
No liquid at all.
Well, that explains a lot.
Really, really low on the fat in terms of, in terms of the shortening butter component. Very low. They are a little bit on the dry side, aren't they? Mm-hmm. The flavor is interesting because there's cinnamon and nutmeg in there, and the honey.
I wonder if you threw in a little bit of zucchini or something that carries more liquid in them than carrots.
This is a wartime cookbook. So it is a recipe that's sort of making some concessions to that wartime. There's rolled oats in there as well. So
Not having stuff, especially sugar.
yeah,
So the carrots would add to the sweetness a little bit.
a little bit, yeah.
Potentially.
Carrots bring a tiny little bit of moisture, but obviously not enough. I think a little bit more of, maybe even a little buttermilk or sour cream in there would help.
Yeah. Yeah, a little something. A little more liquid.
Yeah. Good starting point.
I do like the flavor profile.
The
I like
flavors-
the honeyness, sweetness.
The honey, cinnamon, and nutmeg go really well together, don't they? Mm-hmm. So I think maybe, take a 2025 eye and look at this and say, what could we do to change the texture and bring them up? Good start. No name.
There you go.
No name. Community cookbook, but again, they're not letting you know who put the recipes in. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around to the end. Thanks for watching to the very end of the video, and thanks for watching this next little bit. Once again, in 2025, I am raising money for Hope Air and participating in the Give Hope Wings flight across Canada that both raises funds for the Hope Air charity, but also raises awareness in the various communities that we stop in, and in the wider community through you, that this service exists and that this needs to be met. Hope Air is a charity that allows Canadians who need healthcare that is not available in their community to travel to the larger cities in Canada where that need can be met. Canada geographically is a massive country, and some communities are pretty far flung, and people end up having to drive 12, 14 hours to get to where the treatment exists that they need. And while healthcare in Canada is universal, any Canadian shows up at the door of the hospital, care is freely given. You have to get to the hospital, or you have to get where the treatment is administered. And for a lot of people, this can be a very difficult time in their life. They're juggling a lot of things. They may not have the financial resources to fly to Toronto and put themselves up in a hotel room for a couple of nights and meals and so on and so forth. And Hope Air is a charity that takes care of that, takes that burden away, takes that weight off of people's shoulders, and allows them to just get well. So my part in this is to raise awareness and to raise money. I work with other pilots who fly some of these people who are seeking treatment from smaller flying communities to larger centers like Thunder Bay, where they can get a commercial airliner that will take them to Toronto or Winnipeg, so on and so forth. And over the last couple of years, we've raised a lot of money for Hope Air. Last year alone, you donated around $40,000 to help out with this cause. I'm very grateful for that. I feel very blessed that we have created a community here on YouTube, amongst everything else that's going on in the world, where we can help people. So once again, I'm doing this. Once again, we're flying. I will be putting the itinerary down in the description box of the places we're going to be in early June, where you can stop in and we can meet. Also links to Hope Air Charity so that you can check them out, see what they do. And if you're moved to help, there will be a link to the fundraising page. For everyone who has given in the past, I thank you enormously. And everyone who is about to give, thank you.